Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Listen with Vobes. And I made sure I pressed the button and it started on the correct time, and we are actually live and I'm not talking to myself, which makes a change. I am often found, if you are one of those strange aliens that lands on this planet unexplained and peer through people's windows, and you will have often found me talking to myself. That is the habit I have. Anyway, welcome along. It is the 29th, is it today? 28th, I beg your pardon, of January 2021. And we are with our new book, second episode of The Thames to the Solent. Good afternoon to the lovely Julia, to TurboStream, to Holly and Co, Justine Jones, Audrey Forbes Hamilton, the effervescent TurboStream, Billabong O'Neill, Farmer Giles, hello there. Stephen Agger, good afternoon, Richard, and everyone. How are you? The book you are reading is interesting, fascinating. I have a book myself on the Arun and the Wey Canal. Is that the one by P.A.L. Vine, by any chance? Is it P.A.L. Vine? Something like that. From the Lost Route to the Sea. Is that the one? Yes, I have that one, if it is. Hello to Philip and Mary, to Justine Jones, to Dave over yonder, to Lee Lawson, to John F. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I am just getting my hot beverage all ready for me. There we go. Marvellous. Let me have a slurp of that then. Now, you can all hear me, you can all see me, and I am actually broadcasting. By golly. Things are going well so far today. Let's hope that I can read. Michael White has joined us. Hang on, I'm just poking my eye out. Get rid of the pug. Lee Lawson says, yes, London's Lost Route to the Sea, P.A.L. Vine. There we go. It's all fine when you're reading Mr. Vine. Stephen G., good afternoon to you. Vine wrote a number of books. I've got a number of his books, actually. They go into incredible detail. And I imagine, Lee, you know all about it because, of course, Lord Egremont, he sponsored one of the Rother Canal, isn't it? The Rother navigation, or the little bit round there. Got all the labourers to work when there was little work. Got them. Didn't he use local people? Local shop for local people. Didn't he use the local labour rather than getting in navvies? Turbo says that I sat outside with a cup of what this afternoon? It's mild. Oh, maybe you sat out with a cup of this afternoon. Is that a new drink this afternoon? It's a nice new. I have a nice cup of this afternoon. Here it is, a cup of this afternoon. Pint of that. It's mild today for January. Yes, I noticed that, and I was just pontificating earlier that I hope the old animals that have hibernated don't come out of hibernation and think, oh, it's spring. The stalks of the daffodils are up, but I've seen few snowdrops. Snowdrops. I haven't seen very many of those, but maybe I've just not been where the snowdrops are. Lee Lawson says, I'm not too well up on the Earl's input to canals, but I do know he paid for the work. Yes, I think that he was a good benefactor, wasn't he, of things. Stephen Agger says, yes, it's the Arun Navigation, P.A.L. Vine. I mean, there's very few people else who've written that, so that was a lucky guess on my part. Dudley Sawyer, hello everyone. Just back from a bike ride. Excellent. Justine Joe says, my granddad is 97 today and he's had his first dose of vaccine yesterday. He lives in Worthing. Excellent. Well, I hope that vaccine will ensure that he lives for another 25 years. And quite right too. Excellent. And Andrew Norris has arrived, which is marvellous. Our snowdrops are coming out. Come round and see. Well, I'm not allowed to, am I? I would come round. Of course, I'd come round for some of that excellent tea from your dear Ubby, who's very obedient when you say, go make the tea, will you, Rich? And he goes off and he makes the tea. It's very good. Dick. You think you call him Dick, isn't it? That's right. Go make the tea, Dick. Come on, get on with it. Go down the allotment, get some more fresh veg. Come on, hurry up. I've got guests. I've got guests waiting. Just the way to treat them. And Turbo says, I was cutting back my hellebores, whatever the hell they are, hellebores, ready for the flowers to show. Yeah, excellent. Billabong O'Neill says, hedgehogs at my feeding station Tuesday night. Oh, no, that's no good. That's no good. Hedgehogs should be in hibernation. We'll get a sharp snap and they'll all perish. TurboStream says, oh, yes, Richard, do a lot of video on snowdrops. Do a video on snowdrops if you can find any on the downs. Yeah, if you can find any bloody wildflowers on the downs these days, you'll be lucky. Greetings, folks. He is very handy. It's always handy to have someone of that ilk. Now then, let us carry on before we get carried away by the men in the white coats. We are on the Thames. I don't know what chapter we're on now. Chapter 2, that's right. We're heading towards Guildford. Guildford, where they ford the Guild. Very delicious. It was now time for us to get underway. If you remember, we were in Send, and I think the people of Send sent them all away, sent them packing. Go, get away from here, you silly little man. It was now time for us to get underway again and to proceed on our journey. Unfortunately, we were not travelling to the Archbishop Bodkin Hospital to see Sweetie and Ginger. We were off on another adventure. And we went off at a brisk trot. On a boat. Oh, yes, of course, they're being towed. They're being towed, aren't they? We soon came to another lock called Triggs Lock. Now, I'm one step ahead here because I got the map. I was actually getting myself organised. Here we are, look. Triggs Lock. There it is. From the sky above. If only Patrick... We can't walk up to it because it's... what's his name? Google Didgery won't let us do it. And that looks like where the navigation, the Riverway navigation, diverts from the Riverway. Look at that. Ho, ho, ho. Down there, past fields, open fields. And I guess it's avoiding all these wiggly parts of that. It's mirror. Look at that. It's shadowing, if you like, the Riverway. And what does it do? It joins up again here. The navigation. So it's... Go away. It cuts out... You know, when you look at that map, okay, it's a little bit more thingy, but it can't be that much. I wonder why. Maybe it was the land. They were not allowed to go through the land. Oh, look, there's the church, St. Mary, the Church of Send. It's below. Wait a minute. We were here before, weren't we? He went to Send and the church. There's the church, there's the spire, open the doors, and there's a swimming pool, look, nearby. That's very close to the church. You could almost dive off the church tower into the swimming pool. But anyway, that's curious, that is. Anyway, thought I'd mention that just for a laugh. Has Nigel Sadler come in to correct us? Not yet. He will be here any time, I'm sure. Anyway, we were very close to another lock called Triggs Lock, which we passed without much trouble. Oh, that's lucky. As we neared Guildford, the scenery became much more interesting. We had left the flat country behind us at Woking and were approaching the Surrey Hills. We now entered Sutton Place, a beautiful park, the property of Captain Salvin. Captain Salvin to the rescue! Dun, 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 dun. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a jug of Savlon? No, it's Captain Salvin. He's come to rescue us. The woods on either side of the river were rich in foliage and so perfectly arranged in groups as to be quite a chef d'oeuvre. Bit of French there. I'm not quite sure what chef d'oeuvre means. Somebody can tell me. Is it something to do with eggs? Chef d'oeuvre of the landscape gardening. Oh. Immediately below the woods, and the haymakers were busy at work loading their wagons. We don't see haymakers in the fields anymore, do we? Those men stripped to the waist, bearing... oh, sorry, I thought I was watching Pole Dart for a moment. Those men, you know, in their shabby clothes, sweating and moaning and groaning, loading up the wagons with all that golden hay. The day now was advancing, and the great heat had given place to a calm and a lovely evening. We thoroughly enjoyed our journey as we gilded, even glided. Although gilding is quite fun, we glided along the banks, gay, get you, with the water iris, both yellow and blue, the pretty little forget-me-nots in quantities, the large yellow ranunculus, whatever the hell that is, ranunculus, with no end of other pretty wild flowers, the air fragrant with the scent of new-mown hay and the delicious smelling meadow sweet. It occurs to me reading this and reading other stuff like Richard Jefferies and W.H. Hudson. W.H. Hudson? Is he W.H. Hudson? What is he? Something Hudson, isn't he? Is it Hudson? You know who I mean. His mate. Richard Jefferies' mate, who's buried in the thing. And even the other one, Edward Thomas. They all talk about these wild flowers with such enthusiasm, and they describe the scent and all of that. And one wonders, it just strikes me now, of course, you know, these people coming out of London, not necessarily those particular authors, but other people coming out of London, with all the smog and smells governed by coal, you know, the fumes of coal. And no wonder that you get into Surrey and Sussex, and in those days, that oasis of freedom from the smog, albeit some of the towns were still, of course, burning coal, but in the countryside, just cottages burning coal. You know, the smell of the flowers, and of course the abundance of them back then, must have been utterly astounding. Whereas now we have clean-ish air. It may be unclean and laden with petrol fumes, and perhaps not, you know, in certain areas and what have you, but not clothed in the way that it was with the smog and the pea supers and things. And so we perhaps know, we don't smell all these wildflowers because half the time they're not even there, but I suppose because the air is cleaner, we sort of almost don't notice the nuance of those flowers when we see them. And they all talk about, you know, the air fragrant with the scent of new mown hay and the delicious smelling meadow sweet. And the only person really who's qualified to talk about this is Andrew Norris, who lives in Croatia, where, you know, he lives in his in his village, where there's little pollution and the gay flowers are abundant, fragrant with the air of fresh cut hay and the odour of meadowsweet. So Andrew could tell us whether, you know, when you walk out there, do you smell it? Do you smell that abundance of wild flowers? I want to know, because we miss out that. We now have Italian ryegrass or perennial ryegrass or whatever it's called, that is the monoculture, and very small areas of this. It drives me bonkers. Holly says, here we go, ranunculus. Ranunculus. Is it ranunculus? I've learnt something there. Large yellow ranunculus. A bit like carbuncles, but not quite the same. Hello, my maps are ready. Oh, here we go. Nigel Sadler's ready to correct everything I say and do and slap me on the wrist when I get it wrong. Good for him. Meadowsweet have a beautiful smell, says Linda Kane. Maybe I just have no... what is it? Ocral. What is the orifice? What is the ophorical sense? What's the word for the, you know, the sniff that begins with... Oh, I can see the word pictured. I can't pronounce it. Stephen Agger says, yes, lucky. Down here, less pollution, and we have the seas and the South Downs. We do. But do we smell the nuances of those ranunculus? What is it? Ranunculus. Nun. Get on with it. Okay. Before we proceed further on our journey, says our author, old J.B., not J.B. Priestley, but J.B. Dashwood, Let us stop and have a look at this interesting old place. Yes, what is the name of the place that he's come to? That Captain Salvin, Sutton Place. Let's have a look. Come on, let's do just as he says. I'm prevaricating a little today. I noticed that I am prevaricating. Lovely word that is, isn't it? Prevaricate. What I nearly tried to look up. What is it? Sutton Place, right? Sutton Place. Here we go. Oh, hey, old chap. This looks rather interesting. Sutton Place. There's a nice black and white picture on Wikipedia. Let's have a look at that then. Oh, look at that. That's probably, actually, how he saw it, one would imagine. Now, where the devil is it? He's gone past Triggs Point, whatever it was called, Triggs Lock. He's come down on the navigation here, and this must be it. Is this it? Sainsbury's? No. Don't tell me it's a Sainsbury's now. Wait. That can't be right. That can't be right. Where's Sutton Place? Burpham? No, we kind of got down to Burpham. That's a different Burpham. Okay. Sutton Place. Here it is. Here it is. Oh, look at those formal orchards. Wow. Can we get anywhere down there? No, we can't. Swine. We can go into 3D and have a look. Let's have a look in 3D. Come on. Come on, Voby. Get your act together. Where's the... No, is that the one? Here we go. Come on, grow into 3D, you swine. Why won't you grow? Have you not been created? No one's created Sutton Place. What a Sutton cotton picking mess that is. Anyway, we saw it. We had a glimpse of it. Looked like a lovely place. I think Sutton Place was bought by Getty. Populated the grounds with sculptures. Getty. Not Mr. Spaghetti. Getty. Who's Getty anyway? I've heard the name Getty, but you always see that on pictures, don't you? When you know, is it the Getty is it's a photo. What do you call it? Stock imaging place, Getty. But is that a bloke as well? Showing my ignorance there. I shouldn't really show my ignorance in such a forthright way. Anyway, aren't you able to smell the bluebells and best part of the spring? I don't think I must clearly I must miss out on that scent. Built by a courtier of Henry VIII, says Linda Kane. No 3D on that part of the map, says Nigel Sadler. Well, get on and fix it. No point just telling me, no, I can't do anything about it. I don't want any of that. I don't want the excuses. Give me a 3D version, for goodness sake. We've got people watching. There's people waiting here. Don't you understand? You work in a school. You could get one of the boys to sort it all out. John Paul Getty. Oh, yes, there we are. John Paul. Isn't he a mate? John Paul Getty was a mate of John Paul Sarchi. Sarchi and Getty. Didn't they have some sort of... anyway. They had a massage parlour on the Old Kent Road, is what I was thinking. Before we proceed any further on our journey, let us stop and have a look at this interesting old place. The house stands on high ground above the river. It was built in 1530 by Sir R. Weston, to whom King Henry VIII granted the manor. Point to Linda Kane for getting that right. Well done. Go to the top of the class. Sir Richard Weston was father of Francis Weston, gentleman of the Privy Chamber, to Henry VIII, or Henry VIII, who was involved with the fate of Anne Boleyn, who's now being played by a black woman in a new television series or feature film, which is beyond me, and beheaded on Tower Hill. The mansion is in the form of a parallelogram and built of red brick furnished with a double sculptured plat band of terracotta running round the top, with coins and window cases of the same. Curious that he spelt coins, C-O-I-N-S, instead of Q-U-O-I-N-S. but there you go, giving an imposing richness to the exterior. Many of the bricks, maybe as I read this, we should actually see the sodding place, that lovely place. I beg your pardon, I shouldn't say that. That's I like that picture, but let's see if we can find the colour one, shall we? La da da dee da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dee. Here we go. I don't know how big this one is. No, it's big enough. Big enough. Look at that. Is that a parallelogram, is it? It does look very nice, I have to say. That would just about house the various studios that the Vobes wants to set up inside. That would be nice with those big chimneys. Doesn't it look lovely? So let me continue. The mansion is in the form of... I read that. Many of the bricks are marked with the initials RW and a ton with bunches of hops encircled by the ornament border, in allusion to Sir Richard Weston having been brewer to Henry VIII. Some of the windows in the north and south fronts, with their mullioned of terracotta beautifully moulded, remain in a perfect state of preservation. The great hall, which occupies the centre of the edifice, is 50 feet long, 25 feet wide, and 31 feet high, and contains some fine windows with shields representing the cognoces of Edward IV, the Rose de Sol, I don't know what that is, the Rose en Soleil or en Soul or something, and Henry VII, the crown in the hawthorn bush, besides the various roses of the Tudor sovereigns. The other devices seem later, that of the clown crossing a brook with 5 goslings tucked under his belt, named as Richard Vobes. He is probably copied from Wither's Emblems, published in 1635, where a fool sent forth to fetch the goslings home is said to have thrust them under his girdle, and so strangled them for fear that they would be drowned crossing the river. The best good turns that fools can do us prove disastrous unto us. To quote somebody, I'm not quite sure. Oh, is Wither's Moral, A.J. Kemp. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Monsieur, whoever it is. I can't find this. Where's the sodding... I can find... Oh, it's on that screen. You see, it's funny. It shows that on... Anyway, there we are. I'm glad I'm not the window cleaner, says Ben Reeve. Yes, imagine that. Mind you, it'd be like the Forth Bridge, wouldn't it? You'd just never go anywhere else. I can build you one out of Lego, says Michael White. Fantastic. That sounds good. Oops. Wrong oil billionaire, says Ben. And there's gold in them here, their hills. John Paul Getty founded Standard Oil, says Ben Reeve. S-O, hence S-O. S-O, Standard Oil, hence S-O Fuels. Is that a thing? Paul Getty, US billionaire. Ah, I'm getting confused now. How many Gettys? Which is the Getty who has where was the Getty? The Gettysburg Address? Is that anything to do with it? Anyway, the south end. Let's carry on. The southeast front has a long gallery, 141 feet in length, 20 feet width, and 14 feet in high, where Queen Elizabeth was entertained in 1591. What I love about this book is he doesn't bother with any of the metric rubbish. We can all understand what he means by feet and inches. Thanks to the lovely Victorians, they didn't mess up with all this metric nonsense. How many metres and centimetres and millimetres and all this nonsense. Immediately after her departure, a fire broke out of the building, and the whole of the woodwork was entirely consumed. It's believed that Queen Elizabeth, smoking her pipe, tapped it out on a small portion of wood on the way out, thus consuming the whole... I made that bit up. The portion was rebuilt in 1721. Under the gallery on the ground floor are 4 fine rooms which have never been fitted up for use. Oh. According to Aubrey, presumably this is John Aubrey, in his... What was the name of Aubrey's book? Famous book, didn't he? He did a book, but I thought he went round looking at the ancient places, like was it he? No. Camden did Britannica, didn't it? Camden did Britannica. Aubrey, he did... I've read Aubrey's biography. I don't think he wrote it about himself. But Aubrey it was like a gossip thing, wasn't it? If I've got the right Aubrey, he talked about all the rich and famous people, but in a sort of gossipy way. He was like the early version of Hallo and Cosmopolitan in one, if I've got that right. I may have got it wrong. I've read books and I can't remember anything about them. Anyway, according to Aubrey, Sir Richard Weston, the great-grandson of the first grantee in the year of 1645, introduced into this country the first clover grass and probably sainfoin and turnips out of Brabant, somewhere, wherever that is, or Flanders. Where's Brabant? And I guess I haven't pronounced that correctly, Brabant. If it's in France or Belgium or somewhere, I probably got that wrong. Anyway, to Richard Weston we are likewise indebted to our navigation by canal, for he was the first to introduce the system of locks, and it is he, I thought Leonardo da Vinci invented was it the Mitador? Not the Matador. I'm not talking about the not bullfighting, not the Matador. Mitador, isn't it? Mitador? I thought it was Leonardo da Vinci who did that. I'm chucking out. So I had a comprehensive education, Unfortunately, it was a 1970s comprehensive school, not actually comprehensive. I wasn't comprehensively educated. It was smattering of this and a battering of that, and no understanding of pretty much everything. We'll come back to that. I need to catch up with all these things. Gettysburg is a plave, says Linda Kane. Whatever a plave is. I think you mean place. Cubits and rods. Yes, quite right. Let's have some cubits and rods here. Thank you. Famous for somebody's address. Yes. Was it 42 Acacia Avenue, in case you're asking? Was it that address? Getty had a dress. Linda Kane says he was born in 1626. Question mark, question mark, question mark. But Mark hasn't got the answer. Stephen Agger says it's a shame that no one builds like the Victorians anymore. I like railway viaducts. Yes, you wouldn't want one over your house, though, would you? Several, I should imagine. USA is still on feet and inches and Fahrenheit, much better than millimetres. Is it? How that must be. What a relief. What a relief that the Europeans haven't managed. The EU, I think. Wasn't it the EU that made us turn to metric? It's another thing we can blame on them. It's quite nice now that Brexit's happened that we can see how the EU are stumbling with getting the vaccines all together. I have to say, one heart can't help having a smug little smile there going, yes, Britain on its own. They all said that we couldn't do it. We were doing it for so long. For so long, us Brits were looking after the world, standing up for ourselves on our little island, being very clever. And they said, oh, no. Anyway, let's not get into that. My ancestor, General Thomas... Oh, golly. Now, how the hell do you pronounce that? Meager fought at Gettysburg, says Michael White. Oh, marvellous. How did he fight? Did it with bayonets fixed? Muskets, weren't they? Didn't they have muskets or swords? Or was he on the cavalry? Interesting. Anyway, Britain is rubbish, says Lee Lawson. What do you mean Britain is rubbish? What kind of that? I have to say that is treason, isn't it? That's treason. I mean, you might get booted out. You'll have to qualify that, Lee Lawson. Britain is rubbish? You can't say that. Not out there. Retract that immediately. Britain is rubbish. Canada has both of what? Fun. I don't know. That's upset me. I'm surprised. Interested in all the history and everything. I always find that bizarre. Lee Lawson saying, sorry, thank goodness for that. Yeah, I take it back. Do you know, I had a very good friend of mine who's a historian chap and is taking me round the battlefields. I better not say his name. But we have marvellous debates. I mean, we're friendly and everything, but he was an EU chap and I was a Brexit bloke. And we would have wonderful debates. He is a sort of bloke, we can have a good debate about it, not get angry, not get annoyed, not any of that, have a laugh about it, and still have a cup of coffee at the end when we were out filming stuff. And he's a lovely bloke, and I like him, and he's got his opinion, and he's absolutely entitled to it, and we have a good old laugh. And he has a good old laugh at me for thinking the way I do, as most people do. Yes. Anyway, let's crack on with this nonsense. According to Aubrey, blah, blah, blah. To Richard Weston, we are indebted to our Navy navigation by canal, for he was the first to introduce a system of locks. And it was who first rendered the way navigable. An Act of Parliament for carrying his projects into effect was passed in the year 1651. Blimey, that is early for the canals, is it not? Nigel Sadler said, so I missed it. What did he say? I want to know. It's something sedacious, I'm sure. We must now resume our journey. Thank God for that. After passing Bowers Lock, we soon arrive at Stoke, a suburb of Guildford. Stoke Park lies on the left bank of the river and is hilly and prettily wooded. It's lovely what's nice is he's going through all these estates, these big estates with the country houses. I think it's rather nice because it reminds us what we once were. Were you wanting a rant, Lee Lawson? Says Linda Kane, who knows better than to suggest certain things because she knows it'll send me off. Mind you, I'm still reeling from Linda Kane's comment on the Vogue show last night when she says she goes off to see the repair shop after I shut up. I think that turn of phrase, it says it all, really. Linda, I'm watching you. I'm watching. I now know what 2M looks like. Yes, I don't know what 2M is. What is 2M? Wasn't 3M something sellotape? Wasn't it 3M? Or was it wasn't 3M the same as BASF that made tapes? I'm sure they made tapes. Did they not make cassette tapes? Nigel Sadler will know. He's into all that sort of stuff. Right, so we have shifted now, ladies and gentlemen. I want to shift with you, if I can find the shift button. So that was that place. I'm going back to 2D because it's a bit easier to navigate this. Right, where is here we go. He's gone down to, I can't remember where he said he'd gone down to now. Stoke, was it Stoke? Not Stoke Newington, that's somewhere else. Stoke Mill. Oh yes, we've arrived at Bowers Lock. Crikey. Where the sodding hell is Bowers Lock? It's complicated, this, because they've put in, on the satellite, I've noticed they've put in railways. Well, railways weren't around at this time, so they can bog off, can't they? We come down here. Oh, look at that. Down here. Oh, here we are, Bowers Lock. Woohoo! Just about to go over whatever that road is. Oh, there's the A3. Ah, there's Bowers. There's the allotments by the looks of things. Very nice. Bowers Lock. Can we get down to Bowers Lock to have a look? Probably looks like all the rest. No, the best we can do is stand on the bridge. I apologise. It'll look like all the rest, won't it? There we are, look. There's the lock, just down there. Anyway, we get into Stoke somehow, wherever Stoke is. So down Bowers Lock, somewhere here. Riverway. Stoke Lock, here we are. This must be Stoke, right next to the sewage works. Colony Architects. Oh, yeah. Next to the sewage. Look at that, Guildford Sewage Works. Nice. I bet they weren't there. Well, they might have been. Who knows? Oh, and then they go down. That's where they park company. Look at that. They park company. And is this a tunnel? Oh, no. I thought there was a tunnel there. No. Oh, I know. The Surrey Advertiser. There's the mill. Oh, I've been in there. I've been in that building. I made a video once for them. Huh. How about that? My God, that takes you back. 3M were big in the printing industry back in the day, says TurboStream. Nigel Sadler, 3M are better known for making Scotch tape, an invisible form of sellotape. Oh, yes. I can never work out where I put my roll of that sellotape. It's so invisible. And Lee Lawson says, I used old money in my head. 50p, that's 10 bob. I'm not paying that. I'm keeping stum. I'm shocked, Lee Lawson, that Britain is rubbish. Absolutely shocked. Julia says, Lee, my mum used to confuse me with comments like that while shopping. Yes, absolutely. When I was a kid, we found these 10-shilling notes. They were great. Billabong O'Neill says, I've never gone metric, still use thou. Oh, good. And Nigel says they were marked on the 1900 map. Ah, the old sewage works. Well, let's see if he goes and visits the sewage works then. But he goes to Stoke Mill. Presumably that is the mill that the Surrey Advertiser is in, I'm assuming. At Stoke Mill, here we go, we came to our last lock before Guildford. A very deep one it was, and one of the most difficult to work. By this time, however, I had become pretty handy with the crowbar, and we were not long in getting through. The toll-keeper had emerged from the neighbouring flour mill, that's the mill, and demanded our way bill, and to him I gave up, without much reluctance, the ponderous instrument which had helped us so far on our way, with an injunction to send it back by first opportunity to the lock-keeper at Way Bridge. So this, windlass, he's handing back. Presumably there were other locks to go through, but I don't understand. The shades of night were falling fast, and we had 2 miles before Guildford, which we accomplished in about half an hour, entering the old... They've got a horse, and they're towing a boat, and they've done 2 miles in half an hour. 3 miles an hour at ordinary pace, let's say. They were going quite a lick, weren't they? Which we accomplished in about half an hour. Entering the old town in the twilight of evening. We were somewhat tired with our day's work, and we were not sorry to pull up under the old bridge. Ah, is that the bridge that's next to the theatre? Where we left our boat for the night in charge of the boatman on the quay. The town was alive with excitement. Oh yes, there's a nightclub near there, isn't there? It being the Forester's Fete, and volunteers' bands paraded the streets in every direction. Guildford has always a great charm for me, but this evening all was so merry and jolly that it quite gladdened our hearts as we made the best of our way to the White Lion, anxious for our dinner, it being then past 9 o'clock, and with the intention of remaining there for the night. The White Lion. Where the hell is the White Lion? That's come to the end of the chapter on that, so that's an interesting place. Let's have a look. 4 miles an hour. Sorry, says Cooper. What? 4 miles an hour? Is that what he was going? 4 miles an hour to get there in half an hour? Yes, I suppose he was, isn't it? That's right. Because I was thinking that the average pace is 3 miles an hour. That's what I was thinking. The average walking pace for walkers, but with a thing. So he's going 4 miles an hour, which seems to be quite fast. But I guess once you've got the motion of the boat going, that you can give a nice sprightly walk. I would rather be called an Englishman than British, says Michael White. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. I'm English. I'm part of the British Empire, but I am English. Absolutely. First and foremost, I'm English. Still use feet and inches, says Linda Kane. And I'm very proud of being English and British. Very proud. I can't understand. I am slightly shocked. British are rubbish. It's an outrage. Worse, I think, though, worse. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Worse are those people that come from foreign overseas and live here, and then do down our way of life and our traditions and our history and try and do us down. And you think, well, what right have you to do that? You've only been here 5 minutes. We have traditions and generations of traditions, and we don't know about these things. We are rubbish at knowing our own history, I grant you that. This is the modern education system for you, have been mercilessly getting rid of our patriotic thoughts and the old ways of teaching history. That is dreadful. I agree with you there. Totally agree with you. It's a shame. We've all got very touchy-feely and skirted round the history because we don't want to upset anybody anymore. And goodness. Right, what am I trying to do apart from cause havoc? Right, where's the river gone? The riverway's going round here. It's come down here. And this looks like the town. There's the high street. So is this the old bridge? That's the road bridge. That's not the old bridge. The old bridge, there it is. That must be the old bridge. The Guildford Town Bridge, historic monument, I guess. Now we can probably have a look at that from somewhere. The I don't know, how do you pronounce the name of the theatre? The Enarvu Theatre. What's the name of the theatre? Somebody tell me how to pronounce it. The Enar Arno. There's the old bridge. Look at that. There it is. There's a church type thing. The White House. What are we looking for? The White Lion. And Nigel Santos says the White Lion was demolished to make way, now a shopping centre of the same name. Hence the White House there. So Debenhams is on this side. Where's the shopping centre? You see, look, up there near the top, almost opposite where the clock is, there used to be, I forget the name of it now, beautiful second-hand bookshop just up the high street. You climb up this hill. My dad lived in Guildford, and I used to cycle up there 20 miles from Worthing to go and see him, and often I had to cycle home, 40-mile round trip. If I was lucky, he would give me a lift halfway back on the old 284. I think it's the 284, can't remember. So where's the shopping centre? The Friary. I remember when they were building the Friary shopping centre, and they had all the archaeologists in there, and they realised that there was an old friary. What have I gone down here for goodness sake? Look, I'm driving down this walkway. I don't think you're supposed to be able to... Who's that? Who's this geezer? Town Wharf. So this must be... Here we go. This is where he parked his boat. Isn't that fascinating? There he is. I don't think those people... That's not the... who did he say it was? The keymaster. That's not the keymaster. They're just some peasants there. Who's this bloke? He's got a traditional face, but unfortunately he is a bit uncoiled, isn't he? He's one of the... It's a bit of art, isn't it? You're going to tell me it's a bit of art, but we don't know who he is. Who are you, you swine? Get that arrow out of the way. Can't read the thing on the wharf there. It's nice at least they've got something to the wharf, which presumably somewhere around here. Easily done these times. What have we got? Yes, Eva. Yeah, that's it. Yvonne Arno. Thank you, Yvonne Arno. Yes, Yvonne Arno. It's funny. It's just one of those names. I can't remember who she was. Yvonne Arno. Yvonne Arno. The White Line was demolished. It's now a shopping centre. Yeah. So anyway, we've tried to find all that. So that's where they are, and I can't see where the shopping centre is, because the Priors shopping centre was one. It must be on this side of the... Is it? It's not that. That's the theatre, isn't it? There. What does that say? Something Sir Goblin or something. Sir Goblin Theatre. I've performed in the theatre. Fun. It's not the Yvonne Arno that I performed in. Debenham. Anyway, wherever it is, we're wasting time. I'm sorry about that. You're wasting your time. How are we doing? 1:45. Marvellous. Between Dias and JD Sports. Thank you very much. Find Robert Dias. The entrance of the White Lion is the White Lion Walk. Oh, White Lion Walk. Oh, interesting. I'd like to know why Swan Walk in Horsham is called Swan Walk. I'd like to know that, because that was next to the the Connaught Theatre, wasn't it? Not the Connaught Theatre, what am I talking about? The Capitol. The Capitol Theatre in Horsham. One of the last with the flies. I performed on that. I sound like some old ham, don't I? But I have performed on that as a student. Well, as an amateur performer. I think you have to go up the hill in the town centre on North Street. I forget where North Street is now. They're all shouting. Hang on, I'm getting there. Give us a chance. Right, there's the thing. Where's North Street? There's High Street. Hang on, North must be up this way somewhere. Primark. I found Primark. The Magistrates Court. Waitrose. York Road. Well, it must be near. It's got to be near the bridge, hasn't it? Bloody Google Maps is rubbish, isn't it, when you want these things? Primark, temporarily closed. I wonder why that is. Magistrates Court, might be something to do with COVID. Anyway, it's somewhere around here. I can't find it. You found it, so that's all that's important. So there we go. That's the old bridge there. That must be the Yvonne Arnaud Theatre. And if you go down here a bit, you come to the Merry Farmer. Was it the Jolly Farmer? The Jolly Farmer pub. It's not called the Jolly Farmer pub now. I think it had another name in history, but I remember it as a Jolly Farmer. Less waffle, more story. All right. Bloody hell. You can do your own live streams, you know. You can do your own. Getting a bit arsey. We're on another chapter. Chapter 3. Less waffle. You can go off, people. If the tourist, to use a somewhat cockney term, has not already been at Guildford, pray let him or her take the first opportunity of doing so. It is a most interesting old place, scrupulously clean, with quaint gabled-roofed houses and latticed windows, standing on the side of a steep hill. The old castle, the stage of many an ancient historic scene from the earliest ages, is chiefly of Norman architecture and full of interest, and it is well worth a visit. Archbishop Abbott's Hospital. It actually says that, Archbishop Abbott's Hospital, not Archbishop Bodkin, although you can clearly see where Norman Collins got the idea, at the top of the street, and the churches of the Holy Trinity and St. Mary should be seen, especially the latter. In the Guild Hall is a curious chimney, piece in 4 compartments, representing Standgininus, Choleriuscus, Phlegmaticus, and Melancholius. Well, these are all illnesses, aren't they? All these lions should be visited with the aid of some good guidebook, but as our little work does not aspire to that dignity, I will leave the details to abler hands than mine. I did say please. Yes, I know you said please, cheeky monkey. Swine. I shall be burning puppets in the morning. This evening, on the Essie, I shall watch them scream and shudder as they disappear in flames. Aubrey narrates an amusing story of Archbishop Abbott's rise in life. He was the son of a cloth worker and lived in a house adjoining the bridge. His mother, one night, not long before his birth, dreamt that if she could have a jack or pike to eat, her child would rise to great distinction. Some time after, going to the river for water, she took up a jack in her pail, and in compliance with her dream, dressed and ate the fish. This circumstance, becoming known in the neighbourhood, induced some influential people to offer themselves as sponsors, an offer which the poverty of the parents led them joyfully to accept. The sequel runs that as George Abbott and his brother Robert were playing one day on the bridge, some gentleman, being struck with their appearance and hearing of this curious dream, placed them at school and subsequently sent them to the university, and in 1610 George was made Archbishop of Canterbury. In the year 1621, the Archbishop had the misfortune to kill Lord Zouch's keeper with an arrow, whilst shooting a deer at Bramshill Park. Isn't that what happened to William the Conqueror's brother down at the New Forest? Didn't he second a little, went off a tree, killed him? Sorry, I'd gone off the text. Sorry, I don't want to upset Andrew. This threw him into deep melancholy, and he kept a monthly fast ever afterwards, on the day of the week which it happened. He also settled an annuity of 40 shillings on the keeper's widow. Here we are, love, 40 shillings for the fate of your husband. The views on the top of the hill of St. Catherine's and St. Martha's Hill, on which are situated chapels of interest, are lovely. And in fact, there are endless points in and around Guildford from whence fine views are obtained. The old legend records that two sisters, Catherine and Martha, built with their own hands the two chapels, which still bears their name. I'm but an old spinster, building this chapel, all on my Todd. Oh, sorry, that was a bit of waffle there. I mustn't go into that. These ladies were of the giant race. Oh, I beg your pardon, they were giants after all that. And the only working tool they used was an enormous hammer, which they tossed from one hill to the other as it was wanted. Martha, Martha, throw the giant hammer over. Not yet! It wasn't ready. On the following morning, we were up at 7, and after a good breakfast, we commenced foraging for supplies, and having procured some meat pies, we need not pause to think of what they were composed, we slipped our cable and glided, I nearly said gilded again, and glided under the old bridge on our forward journey. I was right about where he parked. Do you notice? I was on the north side of the bridge. Yes, thank you. I was there. Andrew Norris, stop that waffle. That waffle pinpointed precisely where he was. Thank you. You and your get on with it message. I am only joking. The inhabitants appeared to take great interest, did they, of our proceedings, for the bridge was crowded with spectators. It's interesting because this was a time, this 1868, was a time when this was a working canal. I don't understand. Why would people be in any way interested? Is it because the little, whatever he calls it, the Una, was unusual compared to the barges, I'm presuming? The inhabitants appeared to take great interest in our proceedings, for the bridge was crowded with spectators, and the little gamins of Guildford ran along the towpath after us for a long distance, taking photographs on their mobile phones, many of them posting on Instagram. Our ardour here received a slight damper, for we beheld a small screw steamer which had just arrived from Brighton, thoroughly disabled. Oh, a poor screw steamer. We were informed that the weeds on the lower part of the canal were so thick that she could scarcely make a head against them, and they had completely fouled her screw. And, to make bad worse, she had burst her boilers. If there's something that you cannot imagine worse than a screw steamer who's burst her boilers, I have to say I do feel for them on that. It must have been dreadful. Dear, oh dear. We consoled ourselves, nevertheless, with the assurance that where the steamer could penetrate, we could do so too. Moreover, she must have opened the passage for herself and thereby cleared the way for us. He is a bit of a Sherlock Holmes, isn't he, this Dashwood? Good gracious. Turbo says, Richard has his tongue firmly in his cheek today. Yes, I certainly do. Someone has to. The Japanese believe, says Michael White, that dolls have a life of their own, so should be very sad for your puppet. I'm not really going to burn the puppets. I was just having a joke with Andrew Norris. I was just having a joke. I'm not going to burn them. They're perfectly safe with me. They're down there with Eric. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. We'd probably never see the light of day again. They've probably been eaten. Anyway, and Lee Lawson says, I was afraid this book would be dull after the last one. Yeah, it's dull as dishwater, this. You can tell. Anyway, off they go. British are rubbish. Before leaving the town, we borrowed from a boatman on the quay a newfangled implement with which to open the coming locks, called a winch. It was no doubt an immense improvement on our former weapon, for the locks on this canal were to be opened from terra firma, and there was no further occasion to sit astride the gates, added to which the process of working the hatches were far easier, although, as this canal is almost at a standstill from want of use... Oh, there we go, that's answered my question. People weren't even using it in 1668, blimey. They were desperately stiff and required at times all one's strength to open and shut. After leaving Guildford, we still had to pass the second lock with the aid of a crowbar, and we took a lad with us from the quay to take it back. It was a size larger than the one we had before. What, the boy or the crowbar? The scenery along this part is shut in by high hills, and the river winding its way along at their base. The tout ensemble has a very picturesque effect. Soon after passing the first lock, we emerged into flat water meadows, having St. Catherine's Hill crowned with its chapel on our right, and the heights of Guildford and St. Martha's Hill beautifully wooded behind us on the left. Here we met with our first serious check. On opening the lock, we saw to our horror and dismay that there was scarcely a foot of water in the canal. We pushed and punted along and carried away our towing rope in our efforts, and thus managed to gain about 100 yards, when we stuck fast. What was to be done? We could neither get on nor get back again. We could not land, for the mud was deep on either side, and we were fairly at our wits' end. In this dilemma, we espied a woman making towards us. Yes, get a woman on there. That's the answer, clearly. Get her to wade out, lift her skirts and wade out and give us a shove, love. Come on, give us a shove, love. What? The British are rubbish? How dare you, woman? How dare you? Our hopes instantly rose, as we thought she might be able to get us out of our difficulties. She commenced by informing us that we had no business where we were, that the water of that part of the canal was let off for 9 days to effect certain repairs to a mill on the way, and that meanwhile the lock keepers had not the power to fill the canal. She also told us that notices had been circulated to warn all barges and other craft that we ought to have been informed of this before we left Guildford. Ha! How about that? How about that? They are stuck. They are stuck, ladies and gentlemen. That is a good place to leave them. They are stuck on the canal. I was just looking to see if there was any more pictures that we have missed. No, not really. There's a picture coming up of some cows. I can show you that. There we are, look. Cows jollying about. We're going to leave them there. Mr. Norris, you may go now, because the rest is just waffle. We're going to leave them stuck. What will they do? How will they get off there? You will have to find out in tomorrow's episode, on Friday, the 29th of January, 2021. Andrew Norris says, pale and sickly, Julia, if Richard keeps him in the cellar. Yes, they've all lost their colour. You'll have to repaint. You'll have to repaint the puppets, I'm afraid. Dear, oh dear. Michael White says he would have buck teeth and a bottle of top glasses. What's this? Surprised a canal was little used in 1868. Yes, I was surprised because I thought this was in the height of the canal mania, really. But there you go. And I was afraid this book would be dull. I thought he said puppies. Oh, no, puppets. Puppets are not burning either. Are they going to cows? Exciting, says Linda Kane. Yes, of course, they may well do. Go round the Isle of Wight and lead a merry dance on their way into the Solent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, tune in tomorrow for the next thrilling episode in which we will waffle and pontificate quite a bit. We will read the text too, rest assured, Mr. Norris. We will not burn any effigies of anybody or puppets. There was no crying in this episode, and we only mentioned Archdeacon Bodkin's Hospital twice, I think. So we're all good. We're all good. There we go. 2 more puppets coming. Together they should make quite a fire. Well, the thing is, those 2 may come in time, in the nick of time, to rescue the others and beat me up, no doubt, and tell me off. I'm sure. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. We're having a thrill with this. It's a different experience. Every book has a different experience, does it not? I react differently to each different book. It's quite absurd, really. You never quite know what you're going to get. We've been also suggested that the Diary of a Nobody is a potential book which we can look at. But there we are. Until tomorrow, thank you so much. Ding. Picturesque. Did somebody say picturesque? Anyway, lovely to be with you. Thank you very much. Please excuse all the nonsense that comes out of my gob once in a while. One has to get it out the system. Until next time, thank you and good night. No Vobe show tonight, so that makes it good. Bye all. Thanks, Richard, for the story and some of the not all of the waffle, but some of it. I got back to it. I got on pieced. Is that what they say? I don't know. I show my ignorance far too much. Anyway, goodbye. Sweeting is part too much sorrow. You know what I mean. I pressed the wrong sodding button, didn't I? That's better. Now fade the microphone. Fade it out. Fade. Thanks for watching.